Roberts, and this is Word on the Streets. And I have the honor of sitting here with an amazing woman who has crossed all barriers of filmmaking. Let me share some information with you. Miss Carla P. Morales is CEO and founder of Landmark Productions, LLC. She is also a writer and producer of numerous theatrical plays and movies. She first began to take her writing seriously in 1988 while raising her 4 children. During this time, she became a student of Bushfire Theater's Writers' Workshop, where she met her mentor, P.J. Gibson, a playwright whose work had been performed throughout the world. It was during this time Carla wrote her first play, Back to the Old Landmark, which has been performed throughout Philadelphia and the tri-state area from 1998 to 2012. This play was the inspiration for a dramatic television series entitled The Saints. Soon after, she wrote 2 additional plays, Welcome Home Eddie, which tackles the issues of incest and domestic violence, and El Bandido, a gritty, updated version of The Prodigal Son, which dwells into the world of a male exotic dancing. Combining all these plays, there has been 30 performances. From her success, Miss Morales was again fortunate enough to earn another mentor, Kevin Arkadine, the creator of New York Undercover and writer of The Temptations, who helped polish her skills as a screenwriter for film and television. Wow. Oh, Miss Carla, very, very, very impressive. So what got you into screenwriting?
Screenwriting? Well, I've always wanted to be a screenwriter. I've always written all of that. But the stage plays that I would write, I could always visualize them. You know, as films, they always run through my mind like a film. And different things and scenarios that I see, I always saw it as a film. But I didn't know how to make the transition from writing a stage play to writing a screenplay, which is where Kevin Arkadine, came in. Because fortunately, he had the same background that I had. He was also a playwright at one time, and he had to make the transition as well. So he understood, and he said he could hear the stage in my writing. And he began to teach me over a period of about a year how to make it more visual, because stage is all about the dialogue. TV and film is about the visuals. So I had to learn how to write that way to make it more visual.
So what are the obstacles about getting into the industry? Have you faced any? And if you have, how did you overcome them?
Well, there are nothing but obstacles. It's bad enough being a person of color, trying to get in. I mean, mainstream individuals, you know, they have a hard enough time getting in. So you can imagine it's even harder for a person of color. Now multiply that by being a woman, and it's even harder. And the way I overcame that was doing my own thing.
Really? Having your own niche?
Finding your way? Producing my own work. Because when I was at Bushfire Theater, I couldn't get my work done, even though I was a Pew Fellowship finalist, and I was the first ever in Bushfire's history to have a finalist, and I still couldn't get my work done. And I started looking around Philadelphia, and at that time, during the mid to late 90s, your main theaters were not interested in work by people of color. Latinos, African Americans, they weren't interested.
Interesting.
So I was thinking to myself, if I don't do it myself, my work will never see the light of day. So I launched out. I had no idea what I was doing. I totally did it by the seat of my pants, and I learned as I went.
So how did you find the budget? Like, where did you get the budget to?
There was no budget.
So you were working and
I think I had like $145 or something like that, and I did my first play in the basement of a church. They allowed us to do it.
Yeah.
I made an agreement with the actors. Look, we'll split what comes through the door. And my biggest night, I had 30 people. You know, that was how it went. That was how it went. So that is the way I overcame it, and I recommend that actually for anybody that wants to, you know, break in.
To just find their own way.
Do it yourself.
Are Are there any other challenges that you found in the business of how to get your work out there and push it forward without?
Yeah, surprisingly, you get a lot of pushback from men. But surprisingly for me, the main pushback have been from older men, and particularly black men. They would push back really hard.
Why do you think that was?
I think part of it is because they have difficulty not only taking orders from a woman, but taking orders from a woman of color. Maybe if I was a Caucasian woman, they might do their thing, but because it's me, they would dig their heels in and give me problems, especially if we were running into a crisis and decisions had to be made. And when you're a filmmaker and you're a director or a producer and you're running into a crisis, you have to make snap decisions on the spot. Everybody may not agree with it, but if you're on the team, you expect everybody to step to.
So these are team members you're talking about, not as far as like your characters. Or
right, these are
this
team
is
members.
The people that's in the
supposed
production
to be working
team.
with me.
Interesting.
Yes. And they would give me a hard time, especially if I had to make a decision. They might resist me.
How did you handle that?
It's my way or the highway. That's the only way to handle it, especially in those type of situations where the bottom is going to fall out unless a decision is made immediately. There's no time for a meeting. There's no time for a consensus or anything. Something's got to be done right now.
How did they handle it?
Not very well.
So did you have to fire a lot of men?
No. What would happen sometimes is if they just couldn't take it, they might walk away, and that's fine. I have no bad blood or anything like that for anybody. If you feel as though you can't take orders from me, then fine. Because it's very, very difficult.
So how long before like your big break or for your moment to be like, wow, this finally paid off?
Actually, I'm still climbing. You get these little victories, you get these little rewards, and they get a little bigger and a little bit bigger. Not the big break and name and lights, you inch there. And that's the other thing a lot of people don't understand. Nobody gets an overnight break. They've been in the business for a long time. Nobody ever just jumps in and does it overnight, really. Especially people of color. You don't do it overnight.
Yeah, it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, so I've had these little victories here and there. When I get a chance to see people have heard the name Landmark Productions, or they've heard my name out there somewhere, or they've seen the play. I remember your play, Back to the Old Landmark, or El Bandido, or Welcome Home Eddie, things like that. You get these little victories. And so I'm still climbing.
Speaking of victories, you have a masterpiece, which you may think is a small success, but I think is amazing. It's the Book of Nimrod.
A lot of people ask me, what's with the name Nimrod? It's a very unusual, very specific biblical name. And the character chose the name for himself. The Book of Nimrod is actually a spin-off of the larger series, The Saints.
Oh.
I've been trying to get The Saints on the air since the 90s. Now I hear there's something now called Saints and Sinners, something similar.
Yeah, it is.
But it's very different. Ours is like The Wire in church.
It is.
So that's the Saints. But there were characters in the Saints that I decided to focus on, and Nimrod was one of the characters. And the reason I focused on the Book of Nimrod is my daughter at the time, Hurricane Morales, wonderful videographer. She did a lot of music videos. And she said, look, I got this great camera. She said, why don't we do something about one of the characters? You always wanted to do that. And I said, yeah. I thought about it. I said, yeah, let's call it the Book of Nimrod. So we went out on just a lark, basically, just on a humbug. And we started with the little webisodes that were like maybe 3 minutes. And then our longest episode, I think, was 7 minutes. That was it. But people liked the storyline.
I think it's like 24 minutes now or something.
Well,
what's the biggest one?
Now our longest episode, they run like 48 to 50 minutes. Wow. Yeah. So we went from that because the demand got bigger.
Yeah, the storyline is crazy.
I want to see an hour. I was like, really? You really want to see an hour? Can I write that much?
So will there be a season 2, and will you be holding auditions for season 2?
Absolutely. My goal is definitely to do a season 2, especially when you see how episode 8 ends.
Usually, this goes quite smoothly. But you have been a problem.
Nimrod, sure because a couple people died off in episode 5 and 6. I mean, episode 5 and 4, I think. So you're gonna need some new people.
Yeah, we're gonna need some new folks, and the auditions for that will probably commence around the beginning of the summer, or maybe the end of spring, beginning of summer, something like that.
And where would they find the information?
They're gonna look on the Book of Nimrod Facebook page.
Okay.
Because we have a Facebook page. I want everybody to go to the Facebook page and like it, and just stay tuned.
You hear that?
On that. We're gonna put it out there.
You have a web page.
The Book of Nimrod.
You have Instagram.
Yeah, we do have Instagram.
What's that? Which one is that?
It's the Book of Nimrod.
The Book of Nimrod.
Everything is the Book of Nimrod.
Good. All right.
And you'll see notices. Usually when we put the notices out, they go everywhere, and we get people to come out.
Good.
So we'll be looking for background actors, maybe some people who could take a fall, take a punch, something like that. Good stuff.
Excited. I'm excited. Yes. Well, thank you so much for having 906 Multimedia and Satin Down Productions and myself come in your home and share your story with us, share your story with the audience, and thank you for sharing, the obstacles, because a lot of females out there and females of color may want to know, what do I have to do to get into the business, and how do I make myself and my niche make its way. So I appreciate it so much, and we look forward to seeing your show.
Thank you.